In this video, I'm going to show you how I painted this acrylic landscape painting. I'm going to break it down into sections and show you step by step how to do it. It's really simple and it looks really impressive once you're finished. Anybody can do it. It doesn't matter if you're a beginner or if you've never painted before. So follow along if you want to paint this. So first we will start with the sky. So I'm adding titanium white to the top of the canvas and I want the sky to be purple. I'm out of purple paint, so I'm adding sky blue and a little bit of magenta. Then you want to take your wash brush and mix this together. It doesn't have to fully mix completely because then you want to use long horizontal brush strokes across the sky, and that will blend it the rest of the way. Don't use vertical strokes. Horizontal, side to side, until you have a good fully mixed color in your sky. So you can add a little bit of water to your brush if you don't have enough paint and you want it to mix better. I want the bottom of the sky to be lighter, so there's a gradient that comes down towards the horizon. So I'm adding some more white to the bottom and then using the same horizontal brush strokes. I'm just going to blend that in. Once you have your gradient complete, then we'll move on to the mountains. So I'm mixing together the same color that I used for the sky, just slightly darker. And I'm going to make a mountain in the distance, far in the distance, just across the canvas. And then blend that down a little. Now I'm going to make a mountain that's closer to the horizon by making the same color, just darker again. Add a little white to your brush and blend that downwards. And once your sky is fully dry, then we can move on to the clouds. These are purple clouds, so I'm mixing the same color again, but I'm using more magenta than I did and less blue than I did in the sky. So they are a pinker purple. And the trick to painting clouds is that you want to use a very dry and stiff brush with a very, very small amount of paint, and you just scrub it onto the sky in circular motions. Now the clouds at the top of the sky are bigger because they're closer to you, and as you get closer to the horizon, your clouds become smaller and more flattened out and also lighter in color. So I added some white to my purple, and I'm using that color to put highlights along the bottom parts of the clouds and to also make some clouds in the distance. I want some orange as my sun color where the sun is shining on the clouds, so I'm using the same brush and a very small amount of paint, and I'm going to put more of the orange towards the bottom of the sky, and also I'm going to put this orange where the highlights are in the purple clouds at the top of the sky. And then you need a lighter orange than you were using before, and you'll use the lighter orange to highlight all of the orange parts at the bottom of your sky and some highlights in the orange and the larger purple clouds at the top of the sky. This is the part of your painting that you want to spend the most time on and be patient. And when you're finished, then you can move on to the trees. So now I've switched to the fan brush and I've loaded it up with some dark green paint and black paint. I did not mix the green and black together. I just grabbed some of each color, and as I tap the trees on, the colors will mix a little, but not fully, so then your trees will look like they have shadows in them. Now that I have my trees placed, I'm going to use just the corner of my brush and I'm going to turn it vertical and define the tops of the trees. I have a small amount of paint on my brush and I'm using very light taps so that it's not too thick. You want these trees to vary in height and in shape. Now I want to add some subtle highlights to these trees. So using the same color I had already, I'm adding some light green to this and I'm going to turn my fan brush in different directions to define some little limbs and highlight them. Now I'm going to add a little bit of yellow with that color and I'm going to put some highlights, a few highlights on the highlights already made. Once this is finished, then we can move on to the grass. Using the same fan brush, I'm loading it up with light green and dark green, and I'm not mixing the colors together again so that you accidentally get some shadows and variations in your grass. Now you turn your brush horizontally and just tap across. You don't want to make long strokes downwards because the grass is not very tall. Just tap small little strokes downwards, across, back and forth your canvas until your whole grass is filled in. After you get it filled in, then using the same color you used for the trees, the black and dark green, and a small amount of paint, I'm just going to lightly tap on some shadows. And then adding lots of yellow and light green to my fan brush, I'm going to do the same thing and put some highlights in the grass. Once you're happy with this, then you can move on to dandelions. I've grabbed a smaller fan brush and mixed together some orange paint. And I'm using just the tip of it to tap on some little dandelions. If you turn it vertically, then you can tap some in the distance and they're clustered together in the distance. And closer to the foreground, you want to just use the corner of the brush and tap on some larger individual dandelions in this field. And once you're done with that, you can grab a smaller brush and add highlights to your dandelions. And I added some more highlights to the grass also. You can also add shadows to the dandelions. You can just keep going until you're happy with your painting. This is a simple, easy acrylic painting. Anybody can do it. And if you want to see more of these tutorials, then subscribe. If I get one new subscriber, then I'll do more. So thank you for watching.